guys, in today's video we are going to see about the complete roadmap in order to master the Spring Boot. So in this video we are going to see about the exact step-by-step approach in order to master the Spring Boot. So how can we master the Spring Boot in 2026? So in order to understand the Spring Boot from very basic to the very advanced, you have to divide the entire learning of Spring Boot into two parts. So first of all, you should build a strong foundation of part 1, Spring Boot Backend Foundation. In this, you will start from the core Java, then learn about the Spring Core, then Spring Boot MVC, how does the Spring Boot MVC architecture work, how can we create the RESTful APIs using the Spring and the Spring Boot, and then we will move to how can we add the persistence layer to our Spring Boot application using the Spring Data JPA, and then we will study about the Spring security. So in this part 1, you master how can we make a very production ready monolithic application. So by completing the part 1, you will be able to design any kind of backend application using the Spring Boot. Then once you have completed your building the basic monolithic Spring Boot application, then you should focus on the part 2, in which you will focus on how can you scale your Spring Boot application. So in part 2, you will learn about the how can we scale our Spring Boot application from the monolithic to the microservices, event-driven programming using Kafka, then Redis, then how can you containerize your application, and then at last Spring testing. How can you, once you have built your application, then how can you test your application that it is good? Then so you should learn about the Spring testing, and finally you should learn the Kubernetes, the Spring Boot Backend Foundation, in which you should focus from core Java to secure API. So you should divide it into the level wise. So in level 0, you should focus on Java Foundation. Then level 1, Spring Core, Spring concepts like Spring context, what are the beans, what are dependency injection, what are IOC container, aspect-oriented programming, how transactions are managed in Spring, like that. Then you move to the level 2, Spring Boot and MVC architecture. Then level 3, data persistence, and level 4, Spring security, and level 5, deployment. So what are the topics that you need to master in this level? So in part 1, you should first focus on the Java Foundation, because Spring Boot is the Java framework. So you, in order to master the Spring Boot, you should have strong understanding of Java, how Java works internally. So in level 0, you should focus on learning Java foundations like Java basics, like what is the JVM, what is JDK, what is JRE, what are the difference between JVM, JDK, JRE, Java, how Java codes runs. Then you focus on data types in Java, like primitive and non-primitive data in Java, like how they are stored in the memory, which type of data are stored in stack, in heaps. Then you should move on the array and strings. Then you moves to methods and method overloading. So this completed the Java basics. Once you have completed your Java basic, then you should move to the object-oriented programming using Java, because it is the core concept of the whole Spring application, or because Java is object-oriented programming. So without understanding the object-oriented programming, you cannot master the Spring. And about the concept like classes and objects, what are constructors, how does the constructors are stored in the memory, what are this keyword and super keyword. Then you should learn about the 4 pillars of the object-oriented programming: inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction, and how does the interface help in achieving the abstraction. Then finally you should focus on learning the functional interfaces and the lambda expression, because it will make your foundation for learning the Spring application. Without learning the object-oriented programming, you cannot master your Spring Boot application. So once you have completed your object-oriented programming, then you should move to some advanced Java concepts like exception handling, how we handle the exceptions in Java, what are the errors, what are the different types of exception, checked exceptions, unchecked exception, how can we create our own custom exceptions and throws it. Then you should learn about the annotations, because annotations 90% of the time, in order to configure your Spring Boot application, you will be using annotations. So you should master the annotations, how annotations are worked in Java. Then you learn about the collection frameworks like list, hash maps, like this collection frameworks in Java. Then you should learn, then you focus on generics, and then finally you focus on your multi-threading and concurrency. So after you have completed your Java foundation, so your level 0 is completed. So after completing all these theoretical concepts, now you should make one mini project related. In order to strengthen your level of understanding of Java, you should make one mini project in order to completely understand the concept. So I will highly suggest you to make one mini project using the core Java, like bank account management system. The idea of this app is very simple. This is a simple console-based Java application in which a person can create their account, deposit money, withdraw balance, and check balance. And it is using only the core Java, using object-oriented programming, encapsulation, or collection and exception. And there is no need of any external framework. You will create this project using pure Java. This will strengthen your foundation, like how Java works internally and how we can use Java to master, how can we use Java to make a program. So this is what is this purpose. So this will make your confidence in Java, and this will help you to make your logical thinking. So this will be your mini project in level 0. So after creating one mini project in level 0, you should take one major project that will evolve with each level. So I will highly suggest you to make Zomato a clone app. So you should take one major project, and level by levels you should increase its complexity. Like in level 0, you master your Java foundation, so you should try to replicate creating the prototype of Zomato using pure Java, console-based Java applications. What is its uses? So it's basically a simple console-based food ordering system in which user can be added, item can be added, and order can be placed. So business and all the business logic like database, there is no need of database. All the database are implemented using the collections. So it will be the foundation domain for all the upcoming levels. So this is all about in level 0. In level 0, you have built your foundation on which in level 0 you have mastered your Java foundation that will work as a building block for your upcoming journey. So once you have mastered your Java foundation, then you should move to the level 1 in which you master your Spring Core topics, like the Spring Core concept, like why there is need of framework. So once you have completed your project, once you have done your mini project in Java foundation, then you see that there are lots of boilerplate code. So you will understand why there is need of frameworks. Then you should focus on what are the Spring ecosystem and what are their real world use cases. Then you move to this learning the Spring context and the beans and different methods to create the beans. Then what are the its scopes and life cycle. Then dependency injection and version control, how we configure our Spring application using the Java based XML based configuration and annotation based configurations. Then you should learn about the Spring context and how can we use abstraction in the Spring context. So all this in the level Spring Core concept. After learning the Spring Core concept, you should move to the learning some of the advanced Spring concepts, like what are the proxies in Spring, what is the aspect oriented programming, how transactions are made. So in level 1, you master your Spring core concept. Without understanding all this concept, you could move to the Spring Boot, but you will not able to understand how the things are working under the hood if you skip learning these concepts, because these are the core concepts for learning the Spring Boot. In Spring Boot, there is all the concepts that are, since Spring Boot is the extension of Spring app, so without understanding this, you could not master a Spring Boot. So after you have completed your level 1, so in level 1 you should also create one mini project. So I will highly, so what should be the mini project? The mini project should be notification system, in which there is a notification system that you will create using Spring core concept. Without, so what are its core idea? Its core idea is to just demonstrate you what are the dependency injection and focus on IOC, what is the loose coupling, how does the bean auto wiring works, what is auto wired architecture, auto wired notation. All this concept will teach you this mini project. So once this mini project is completed, the one major project that you have started in the level 0, that is Zomato clone food ordering system. So you take that project from the level 0 and now modify or refactor this code using the Spring, and now you can clearly see the advantages of the using the framework like Spring. So when you refactor your code using the Spring concept, you will see that there are a lot of boilerplate code has been removed from the code, and now framework can take care of the rest of the things. So once you mastered your Spring core concepts, now you move to the Spring Boot and the MVC architecture, in which, so first of all you should start with the Spring Boot basics, like what are the difference between the Spring and Spring Boot. Then why there is need of the Spring Boot? If there is already Spring, then why there is need of Spring Boot? What are the advantages of using the Spring Boot over Spring? What are the features of the Spring Boot, like dependency starter, auto configuration? What are the application properties, application.yml file, the Spring Boot project? What are the structure of the Spring Boot project? How can we run the Spring Boot application? What are the profiles in the Spring Boot? After that, you should move to implementing the web app with the Spring Boot application. How can we map the request using the get mapping, post mapping? What are the path variables and query parameters? What are template engines? Then how can we implement the web app with the dynamic views? What is the get and post HTTP methods? So after completing this, you should now move to how can we implement the REST services using the Spring Boot. In this, you will learn about what is the REST, what is the difference between the controller and the REST controller, what is the difference between the REST services and the dynamic MVC architecture of the Spring, what is the request and the response objects, how does the data transfer between the server and the client using the JSON, what is the role of JSON, how can we manage the exceptions at the endpoint levels, and how can we call the REST API from our Spring app of another microservice. How can we call the REST API of some other system, like consuming the REST endpoint using the REST template, open find. How can we consume the REST endpoints? So in level 2, this will make your level 2 very strong. Like this will make your Spring Boot foundation very strong. So after completing the level 2, you should make one mini project in which you basically create any kind of simple CRUD operation, like you create a web server REST services in which you will perform any CRUD operations, like you can create a bank account, you can implement the bank management system in which user can create the bank account, view their balance, transfer money with the help of the REST APIs. So there is a version 1 of the Zomato app that was the console based. Now using the REST API, you convert that console based application into the REST API. So till now we have covered the Java Foundation, Spring Boot and MVC architecture. till now all the operations, all the data that are created or modified stays in the memory using the collection. So in level 3 you learn about the data persistence. How can we persist the data in the app using the databases? So in level 3 you learn about the data sources, in Spring. What is data sources, what is JDBC template, how can we work with the JDBC to persist the data, what are the transactions in the Spring app. Then you learn about what is the Spring data JPA and database, what is Hibernate, what is the ORM, and Hibernate is what is JPA annotations, repository pattern, what are the derived query methods, how does the JPQL and native query works, what are pagination and sorting. So all this you learn in the Spring data and JPA databases. Spring data JPA and databases. Next you will move to the next part, and you should learn about how you can connect your Spring Boot application with the MySQL or PostgreSQL, in which you will learn how you can connect your application with this MySQL or PostgreSQL. What are the transactions? How does the data migration work with what are the data migrations? How does it work with the Flybase Liquibase? What are the validation and error handling? How can we validate the bean? What are the global exception handling and custom error response? So this will complete your data person, and then we will learn about some of the production ready features, like what are the logging or auditing with Hibernate, what are the dev tools in Spring Boot actuators, and how can we create the documentation of the API using the Swagger. Then this will complete your level 3 of data persistence. So basically in level 0 we have built our Java foundation. In level 1 we have learned about the basic foundation of the Spring application. In level 2 we learned about what are the Spring Boot and the MVC architecture. In level 2 we have learned about the REST APIs. So in level 3 we have learned about the databases and how can we connect our Spring Boot application with the database. So now you should create one mini project consuming all the. So now after completing the level 3 you should create one mini project like expense tracker API using the database. Now up to level 2 you were implementing the database using the collections only. You were not using any databases. So if the app restarts, the whole data get lost. So in level 3 we have learned about the data persistence. So you should create one mini application using the REST APIs and the databases. So I will highly recommend you to create some app like expense tracker API, in which there is an API to manage our expense and connect it to the database so that data can persist. This is the mini project. And what are the improvements that we can do in our major project? So the major project that we have created in the level 0, now it get evolved and we will add the database layer to it. So in Zomato app we will use the JPA and Hibernate and connect our food ordering system with the database. So you can see that what are the advantages of using the database in our Spring Boot applications. So after the level 3 is completed, now up to the level 3 you have completed your Spring Boot application, but there is still one important concept is missing in this, and that's the security. There is no security till now in your Spring application. So in level 4 we will learn about the Spring security. What are the security fundamentals? Spring security, you should learn about the security fundamentals, like why security is needed, authentication versus authorization, what are the difference between this, the stateless versus stateful security, how does the Spring security works internally, what are the filter chains and requests, what are the password encoding basis, why we encode the password. So this will be your security fundamentals. After completing your security fundamentals, you should move to the session based and custom authentication, in which you will learn about all this concept. Then in section 3 then in the Spring security, in third part you should focus about what are the JSON web tokens, how does the authorization work with the JWT. In Spring security you should learn this, and after that you should learn about the OAuth, how does the Google OAuth works, what is security exception handling, and what is the difference between JWT and OAuth. So this completed your level 4. So you have mastered the Spring security in level 4. So you should create one mini project of implementing this authentication service now. And in the major project, you should now, till now you have completed in major project, till now you have completed adding your database. So in level 4, you secure your food ordering app. You have added you should add the security to your food ordering system by implementing the security, like full authentication or authorization you should add, and you should have the role-based access using the JWTs, like what are the admins can do, what are the restaurant owners can do, what can the user can do. So you should implement the role-based access control, and you should also implement OAuth or login in your major project of the food club. So at level 4 you have completed. So you have created up to level 4. You should, up to completing level 4, you are able to create any application. So in level 5, now you should learn about the deploy. In level 5, you should learn about how you could deploy any Spring Boot applications. So in level 5, you should learn about the deployment basics, like what is the difference between jar versus war, what is the embedded server, what are the external configuration that we can use while deploying, what is the environment based deployment, what is the profile based config, how we can handle the secrets in the deployment, then what are the deployment strategies, like what are the manual deployment, what is the zero downtime deployment concept, what is Docker based deployment. You should learn about this deployment base. So and in mini project you should create one mini application and you should deploy it to some like AWS or any other cloud server. And now in the major project that you have created, that you are creating from the level 0, and you have in level 4 you have added the security. So in the major project you should deploy your major application. So by doing so, you have completed all your Spring Boot backend foundation. Up to level 5 you have completed your Spring Boot backend foundation. So after that you should create your, so after mastering all this concept, so you are up till now you have covered all the necessary concepts that are required to create any type of Spring Boot application in depth. So now, and another major project like IRCTC clone, by applying all the concepts that you have studied till now, till the basics, so it will give you a clear mental picture how does the Spring Boot application work, how can you create, and it will also give you confidence how can you create your Spring Boot applications. So after this will complete your Spring Boot backend foundation part 1. So up to part 1 you have completed your basics, completed how can you create any monolithic applications using the Spring Boot. So in part 2 you should focus how could you scale your Spring Boot application so that it could be production ready and can handle multiple concurrent users, and it is highly scalable and it ensures the zero downtime. So what you are required in part 2. So in part 2 you should first start with the microservice. What are the microservice architectures? What are the microservice fundamentals? Like what is the monolithic? What is the difference between monolithic service architecture versus microservice architecture? When we should use the microservice and when not use the microservices. After that, you should focus on what are the microservices design principle, what are the service boundaries, what are the database per service, what are the API contract, what are the sync and async communication between the microservices. Then you should learn about the communication resilience. How can the two microservices communicate with each other? What should be the design principle? What should be the design principle so that this communication remain resilient? And how can we use the microservices in the production? So all these things we will learn you should learn in the microservice architecture. So after completing this microservice architecture, you should create one mini project. Like you should create a one order service and one payment service, and you create these two services and establish a communication between these two services. Like two microservices communicating via REST, and focus on service boundary and focus on service boundaries and failure handling, how you can handle the failure if any occurs. And so, and in this level, the major project that you have created in part 1, Zomato clone, like food delivery, a food ordering system. So you split that monolithic services into the microservice architecture using the different services. You should, like, it should have three or more different services, like user service, order service, and restaurant service, and you should deploy these three services independently and establish a communication between them. So it will complete your level 6 microservice architecture. After learning the microservice architecture, you should focus on learning what are the Apache Kafka, what is the event-driven programming, like what are the Kafka fundamentals, what are the Kafka core concept, how can we use the Spring Boot with the Kafka, how Kafka is used in the production. So once you have learned about the Kafka, so the order services that you have created in the level 6 microservice architecture, now you should establish the communication between them using the Kafka, and you should also create one mini project, that is the user and activity event system. So after learning the Kafka, you should next focus on the Redis, like what is the Redis fundamentals, why Redis exists, what is the in-memory data concept, what are the use cases of the Redis, what are the Redis key concept, how can we use the Spring Boot with the Redis, and how does the Redis used in the production. So, and you should create one mini project again in this level, and you should also the food ordering system that you are implementing. So in level that you will add the Redis in level 8 using you will add the caching in this using the Redis. So this will complete your level 8. After learning Redis, you should learn about the Docker, what is the containerization, why Docker exists, what are the difference between the VM and containers, what is the container lifecycle, how can we use the Docker with the Spring Boot, how we can implement the multiple different services using the Docker, how Docker are used in the productions. So you should focus on these concepts in level 9. And next you should create one mini project in this level, and the major project in the food ordering system that and the food ordering system that you are implementing. Now you make it containerized and deploy it using the container. After learning the Docker, you should learn about the Spring testing. What is the testing fundamental? What is the difference between unit and slice testing? What are the integration testing? How can we test a distributed system? And you should implement one project and this, and use the food ordering system that you were implementing. You should fully test this using the Spring testing. After this level, you should now finally focus on Kubernetes. What is orchestration and scaling? What are the Kubernetes fundamental? Why Kubernetes exists? What are the problems that Docker can't solve? What is scaling and self-healing properties of Kubernetes? What are the pod services, deployment, config map, and secrets? How can we run the Kubernetes? How can we run the Spring Boot on the Kubernetes? Then you should learn about the Kubernetes in production. How can I roll the deployments? What is auto scaling? What is resource limits? In level 11, you should learn about the Kubernetes, and it completed your Spring Boot journey from 0 to infinity. So this is the whole roadmap that you have to follow in order to master the Spring Boot from 0 to infinity. Now, So I have explained you the whole path of mastering the Spring Boot application. Now you will be thinking that, okay, it's great, now I know the path, but what resources should I follow in order to master the Spring Boot in the given manner in great detail along with the different project that I have given? But unfortunately, there is not any single resource that cover all these topics in one place in great details for different projects that I have shown to you. That's why I have decided to start my own course on YouTube, its name is Spring Boot Zero to Infinity, in which I will taught you the Spring Boot from absolute basics to advanced level that I have level wise that I have shown to you. What you will be getting in this course? What are the course feature? So all the concept will be taught to you in great details, and everything will be explained to you in great detail, like why it exists, what it is, how can we implement this, what is the basic idea behind this, why it works, not just remember it. I will explain you the proper concept, like why this exists and why we need to use this technology. So in this course, what are the features in this course? So in this course, I will explain each topic to you in great details. Like I started let's say I have started teaching one topic to you. So before teaching the topic to you, I will first explain why there is need of it, what it is, how it is implemented, and what are the major confusion that the student have in it. Completely project driven learning. It is not going to be the theory like any other theoretical courses in which I will bombard you with different theories. It will be going to be the project driven learning. I will explain each topic to you, and after each topic I will give you one small project implementing all this topic that I have taught to you. So it will be going to the fully practical project driven approach. And also along with each video you will be getting assignment, DPPs and quiz in order to strengthen your knowledge and the concept that you have learned. So at the end of every video you will be getting assignment, DPP and quizzes that you can use in order to strengthen your knowledge and avoid any common misconceptions, saying that you cannot master the practical working of anything without understanding the theoretical concept behind it. So in order to strengthen your theoretical and practical knowledge, I will give you assignment, DPPs and quizzes at the end of every single video. There will be going to be total 11 mini project in this course, like I have earlier shown you yourself. So first you try to solve it with yourself. If you find any difficulty, then I will also provide you a video solution of it. Like when we completed the level 1 Java, level 0 Java Foundation, I will give you this mini project. So likewise, at the end of every level, you will get one mini project that you can master through yourself. So this will be going through about the mini projects. And in this course, there will be two major projects. One is the Zomato clone that we will start from the level 0. Like in level 0 we will implement this Zomato using a console based. Then in level 1 we will add a Spring to it. Then likewise this project evolve, and at the end of the level 11, the project that we have started with pure Java, now it is fully production. Now it has grown to the fully production level with the help of Kubernetes. So in this manner, you will be able to understand what the significance of each level in the Spring Boot architecture. So this is going to the one Zomato clone, and second will be the IRCTC clone that you will implement it through yourself. So if you got any doubt, you can refer to the video solution that I will provide to you. And I also assure you that this is going to be the best course available on entire YouTube or any paid courses. This is going to be the best course. I am assuring you that. So now you will be wondering that what are the basic knowledge that you have to know in order to start this course. So you just have some fundamental programming knowledge in order to start this course and nothing else. You should only have basic programming knowledge, like what is the if statement, what is the if else statement, what is the for loop, what is the while loop, just that simple level. And that's why this course names Spring Boot 0 to Infinity. I will start from the basic and take you to the advanced production level applications. Now you will be wondering that when this course is going to start, what will be the timeline, when this course start, when this end. So all this uncertainty in your mind. So I hate uncertainty. That's why I am giving the course schedule when this course is going to start. So this course is going to start from the 31st December 2025, and when this course, and this is going to end on 30th June 2026. So this is going to be the 6-month long course. So now you will be wondering that how many videos are going to upload in each week. So there will be 2 videos on each week. First video on Sunday and another one on Wednesday. And this is going to be completely free on YouTube. So I hope you will enjoy this course. Happy New Year. Thank you.